Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Two Player Podcast with myself, Matt Likes Games. I've got Ham Solo here with me. Ham, how are you doing today, bud?
Oh man, I am tired as hell.
so, I honestly, I kind of feel you on that. But it is what it is. We got a pretty packed show today, as I'm getting things together on my end here. Uh, but lots to talk about. I feel like before we get into that, though, we should definitely talk about what we've been playing, what we've been up to. I'm gonna let you go first, bud. What have you been up to?
Podcasting, Avatar, Pandora, NBA 2K. Played a little bit of Halls of Torment yesterday.
Oh, nice.
Um, uh, just all kinds of different games, man. I don't know. I'm so low on energy right now. It's insane.
I feel you, man. Nothing wrong with that. But as for myself, I've been, Baldur's Gate 3, Halo Firefight, Call of Duty, God, what else? Terminator, and there's another one that I can't remember. So, hey, is what it is. But let's get into I say topics. Let's get into the topic because there's a topic today.
Yeah,
Um,
you're right.
and it's Sony. It's Sony. Oh wait, what'd you say?
Didn't say anything.
Okay, yeah. It's Sony and the massive hack that happened to both Sony and Insomniac. There's two parts to this. There's the Insomniac part. There's also the Sony part. I figure first we'll get the Insomniac part out of the way. Insomniac was hacked, and I believe I have it here. Insomniac's game suffers major leak of 1.3 million files and full game slate. And by full game slate, they mean the full game slate until 2033, I believe, was the year that ends, which is just insane. 10 years from now, they got all the games that Insomniac is working on. But 1.67 terabytes of data and 1.3 million files were released by Riceta, a ransomware gang that allegedly stole the data in a hack. Insomniac Games has made big hits such as Spider-Man 2, the game that was nominated for Game of the Year this year at the Game Awards. But this is significant because they were asking for $2 million. Sony said, fuck that shit. You ain't getting nothing from us. And, well, they went ahead and leaked everything. But among those leaks, I'm not going to show it here on the stream, but like gameplay for Wolverine was revealed, which I thought looked pretty damn interesting. We'll get your thoughts on that as well. But like gameplay, games, canceled Spider Verse game. You had Spider Man Online, which apparently was supposed to be like GTA Online, but just Spider Man, which is kind of nuts. Honestly, what are your thoughts on that? Would you play a Spider Man Online game?
Yeah, I'd give it a try. I'd at least give it a try. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I don't see what.
that's
Uh,
my thought.
uh, uh, I mean, I like multiplayer superhero games. I wish. Yeah, I'm just gonna cut to the chase and say I'd be interested.
Same here. Same here. I'd be down to try, especially because Insomniac is Insomniac and they're good at what they do. But I'd definitely be down to try that. But like, also X-Men games, they got like an X-Men series at Insomniac that starts apparently with Wolverine, which isn't supposed to be coming out until 2026, according to these leaks. Things can change and everything, but according to these leaks, Wolverine's not until 2026, which is also a big surprise if true, because there was speculation that could be 2024. Um, and what are your, before we move on, what are your thoughts on that? Like, are you surprised 2026 is the date we're hearing of for Wolverine?
Yeah, just because of what I seen in front of it. I was like, yo, that's supposed to come out
Yeah.
before?
And if you don't know what he's talking about Venom. A Venom game is set to come out in 2025 and supposed to be equivalent to what they did with Miles Morales to Spider-Man 1. So you get Spider-Man 2, then Venom, and then you move on from there to Wolverine. But that's a Venom game. I'm not gonna lie, sounds kind of hot. Especially
It
playing with Venom in Spider-Man 2 was fucking awesome.
it does. And if what I read was right in the leaks, it could possibly only be like a $50 game because of how short the game could be.
And I'm totally fine with that. That needs to be the case more often, honestly. And you guys talked about it on your show yesterday. Mishi Miyagi, what's up? Appreciate you for stopping by. You talked about it yesterday on your show, like it's charging $70. Like I feel like 50 or 60 would have been. I'd say 60 would have been the appropriate price for Spider-Man 2. I feel like there needs to be more cases where you're charging based on the length of the game. Like it can be
Right.
quality. It can be quality all at once, and there's no debate that it's quality. It's just like, if you're giving me a game that's the length of like Hi-Fi Rush. Hi-Fi Rush is a quality game, but it's $30. I feel like we need to be more in that area on experiences like that. But that's great news if they're going to be putting that out at $50, because hopefully that's a trend that can continue. And that's also something we'll probably talk about later, because also in these leaks they're talking about raising the price of games to $80 to $100, which is just kind of incomprehensible right now. But to keep it with Insomniac, I mean, a whole series of X-Men games. What are your thoughts on basically starting another superhero saga for Insomniac? They're basically the Marvel studio now. Like everything Marvel, they just do that.
Well, first of all, I'm wondering if those $50 games are going to turn into $70 games if they're planning on trying to raise up to 80 to $100 games.
Right.
So I'm just like, what is the price of this game really going to be? What are you really trying to tell me? And as for being kind of like turning into kind of a Marvel game studio, I'm gonna refer to something that you kind of said yesterday. It's although it's exciting and I want to play these games because I mean, who doesn't want to play superhero games? Superhero games are pretty dope as long as it's the right superheroes and whatnot. But at the same time, it's kind of like, so is this what you are now? Are you just a
Yep.
Marvel studio? It kind of makes you wonder. Are they gonna have any time in the future at all to be able to make what they have? Are they going to be able to create IP on their own, or are they only going to go based on what they are given and what they have had? Because that's, although it's cool to have all that all that Marvel stuff, it kind of, I don't know, it's just not it's something that we've seen in the sense of like IP and stuff like that. Like it's nothing like crazy new, wow, but at the same time, like I'm still excited to play it. So it's a little bit of like excited, but also expectations are a little bit tampered.
Yes.
Just because I'm interested in if you're gonna ever again make a new IP or revisit some of the stuff that people have been asking for, like a Resistance or something like that. But I mean, as long as they're happy, I really kind of don't care.
Yeah.
So like
100%.
if the developers came back and they're like, we're happy with what we're doing, then who am I to say that they need to change? You know what I mean? I mean, I could always go to McDonald's or Burger King and be like, man, you guys need to make a new burger. You guys are boring and you guys aren't doing. what I think you should do, but then they say, hey, but we're making hand over fist, and we're our our employees are happy, and then it's like, all right, well, who the fuck am I?
Yeah,
You know what
exactly.
I mean? So like, um, so I'm all for how they feel about it more or less than how I feel about it.
That's a good way to look at it, honestly. Mishi Miyagi in the chat says, "I
I
want the
don't work
option to."
there, you know. I don't
Yeah,
work there, so I could be
it's not my
bitching,
call.
and they could be like, dude, like we're stoked. So then
Exactly.
I look like a dumbass. So it's like,
Exactly.
no thanks.
So Mishi Miyagi in the chat says, "I want the option to buy Sony games with my EBT card."
Oh shit.
Yeah, maybe one day, right? Uh,
Oh my goodness. If they
but
do that, man. Oh man. If you buying video games with on an EBT card, man, I'm scared for you.
times are tough. Times are tough.
This man said, fuck the peanut butter. Give me the fucking Spider-Man games. Give me the next fucking Last of Us with my EBT.
But yeah, buying Last of Us Part 3 with your EBT card. Maybe get some candy to go with.
I know,
uh,
right? Milk duds.
exactly. Yeah, dude. That's the one thing. I mean, we're years and years from this ever being a possibility or reality. But that's the one thing I'm kind of worried about with Arcane getting Blade. It's like I'm so fucking stoked for Blade. I'm so fucking stoked for Blade. But the thing is, I got a pretty good feeling that game's gonna slap, and if it slaps, then it's like, okay, we're probably not gonna get Dishonored 3 for a very long time.
Right. Because
For a very
anybody
long
could
time.
be like this, right?
Yeah.
Anybody could. If if Arcane does phenomenal, right? And then they get told to, hey, can you make a Punisher game? I'm not
Yep.
gonna be like, oh, too much superhero. No, man. Like if that's what they want to do,
Mm-hmm.
then I'm not mad about it. But if they say, hey, yo, we kind of feel like we're not allowed to be creative, because in my opinion, when you get these IPs from these other studios and whatnot, you may have something to do with the story, but you can't veer off too much.
Yeah.
Right? You got to
Definitely.
keep it. You know, you got to stick to the kind of the lore of the game and whatnot. So if Dinga comes back and says, "Yo, we had a blast making Blade and it sold really well, and we want to make, another IP or something like that." I mean, I'm not going to knock them, just like I don't feel the need to knock Insomniac for the exact same thing. If this is what they want to do, then do it. But if you feel forced to do it, then I'm kind of behind you on that. Either way, I'm behind the developer. Like,
Yeah.
like however they want to do stuff, they're the ones making the games for me. Who am I?
Exactly. As I mean, that's honestly a pretty great way of looking at it. As long as the developer's happy. I mean, happy developer means a better product. I'd rather get a better superhero product than a worse, I don't know, new IP from Insomniac. If that's really how they feel about it, I'd much rather that. But yeah, man, I honestly love that outlook on it. I'm trying to think if there's more Insomniac stuff here, or should we hop into the actual? I mean, I know there's more Insomniac stuff here, but it's just
Yeah, there is. It's
there's
just
definitely more.
is it worth talking about?
That's the thing. It's like there's a lot of stuff here, and a lot of it I'm not going to cover here on the channel because a lot of it's just a lot of bullshit and a serious invasion of privacy. But like, yeah, let's get into the Sony stuff because the Sony stuff is really where the big topic is going to come from today. And I mean, God, where do we even start with the Sony stuff? I feel like, well, there was some debate on this whole leak for Sony specifically, that whether or not it was real or not. And apparently today it is kind of verified that it is, in fact, a real leak. And that was surrounding the whole. You saw it because it was on your show just
Oh, are you
yesterday.
talking about the whole like Activision thing and whatnot?
Yeah, like major industry shifts and threats. That whole slide. where people were like, "Oh, this is fake. Sony's not worried about that." And then today it comes out like, this is real. These are in the documents that were leaked.
I'm not gonna lie, that whole energy fucked me up last night, and I'm sitting there thinking, like, dude, I need to probably take a break from Twitter.
Yeah.
Because I just need to, like, in my opinion, I feel like I'm holding a picket sign. I feel like I'm holding a picket sign, and I'm just like, why do I feel this way? And so instead of holding the picket sign, how about I, get on the roof and watch? Just look at the street.
Yeah.
Why don't I just look like not look down on people? That's not what I mean. But I'm just saying, like, I'm just gonna hover and watch. Right?
Let it unfold.
And I'm getting fairly tired with engaging with all this nonsense. Is it real? Is it not? Is your opinion better than my opinion? Like, I'm so sick of it. So, like, so I'm ready to just kind of take a step back and just let the truth be the truth. And like, I don't need to co-sign for nothing. It just is what the fuck it is. You know what I mean?
100%. 100%. That's a good.
Plus, I've been a little under the weather lately, so I think that might have something to do with it too. But yeah, I'm just, all in all, I think there's a better way to take care of it, and I'm not doing the best that I can. I want to do the best that I can.
That's fucking commendable. That's commendable, dude. Rob the Don 202, what is up? Thank you for stopping by. But this whole slide here, I mean, we'll start from the top, go to the bottom. The Call of Duty threat in 2027. It says Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard for $69 billion could disrupt and threaten console gaming and game subscription markets. By console they mean shift from PlayStation to Xbox with timing and end-game differential as the weapons. Subscriptions, Microsoft's comprehensive ecosystem coupled with exclusivity creates greater dominance. Sony impact is massive threat to PS Plus, upwards of 1.5 billion of annual revenue threat. Gap to fill. This is all kind of like hedged together. 45 million subs times $12 monthly times 12 months times 20% MP. What is MP? I'm not entirely sure what that is. MP multiplayer third party? I'm not entirely sure. But also the day and date threat of Activision games going into Game Pass day one. And this basically, according to Sony here in the documents, poses a major threat for them because of their business model, quite frankly, and because of how different their business model is to Microsoft's business model. So I'm gonna toss this off to you. How big of a threat what kind of position do you think Sony's in, specifically going into these next few years? Because they mentioned the Call of Duty threat in 2027. I mean, 2027, they got the deal up until that point. We assume Call of Duty will be there after 2027, but there's no guarantee. It's not written in stone. So what do you think their position is going into these next few years? How can they pivot? What's next for Sony, given the fact that things don't seem to be working out at the moment?
How did you want to set up that context for that?
As in, let's say specifically, how does Sony, given the fact that Last of Us on, because that was big news from last week, is The Last of Us Online, or Factions as we knew it, but online as the developers knew it, was canceled. Given that something like that is canceled, and that's supposed to be the big thing competing with whatever comes out, whether it's from Microsoft or third party or whatever it is, that's supposed to be the big competing thing. How do you think, if something like that gets canceled, how do you think they move forward and competing with, I mean, not just Microsoft, but anybody, third party, first party, whoever, if they're not able to stick with Last of Us Factions, Fair Games, Concord, whatever you want to call it, like, if they're having trouble sticking with that, how do they compete in a market that is entirely based on how much revenue you're making?
I think this is just a moment of, as I was talking about myself with how I feel like I can do better, I feel like Sony's doing the same thing internally with themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And in like forcibly trying to compete with things that they see that possibly or won't work is more or less a mirror moment. So maybe see something. Maybe what they're trying to do is see how something works, like a Fair Games or something like that, something smaller, so they can possibly take the wins from those. Maybe like a Fair Games. Maybe they look at the data with how their players are interacting with um, the Bubble Fight game. I never remember what that's called. I always call
Oh,
it Bubble
foam
Fight.
stars. Foam
Foam
stars.
Stars, yeah.
Boba Fett foam
Um,
stars.
and and then also look at how how the competitors and stuff are doing, and I feel like what they're wanting to do at this point is ease their way into a live service game with something maybe cheaper and easier, because I feel like with them canceling um the whole Last of Us online thing, they pretty much said that they don't want to shoot for the stars right from the top, right? They're
Yeah.
just going to shoot for the moon right now. They're not shooting for the stars. They don't want to go light years away. They just want to go just, several, like kind of far.
Yeah.
So I feel like Fair Games, although I don't think I'll like that game at all and I'm not really that interested in it, I think that's kind of a great barometer, I guess, just to kind of get a taste in who's going to jump into these kind of games day one, right? What kind of stuff are they looking to purchase? How can how can we try to retain them on a game like this, right?
Yeah.
This isn't the best game, but if we can turn it into a good game from it looking maybe abysmal to some people, oh, I think it's bad, but hell, I mean, maybe they come out and it's a dope game, right?
Sure.
Helldivers, that's coming out.
Yeah. That's true.
That, and that's not a huge name like Last of Us. You don't have so much to lose if you screw up, right? So you can try out some of these smaller titles, see how they go, and then maybe invest a little harder in some other things. But as of right now, they're kind of falling back and just kind of going with what's comfortable. And I don't exactly think that's the worst thing in the world. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. It's just not exciting. That's all it is.
Okay. All right. I mean, that's not a bad take. Nikita Percy, appreciate you for stopping by. Thanks for hanging out in the chat. I mean, yeah, I'm kind of there with you when you put it in that sense. I mean, it's logical to think that creating fair games and getting fair games off the ground is going to cost quite a bit less than it would to do everything you need to do to make Last of Us Factions a legit live service game. Because that's hundreds of millions versus what? I mean, I don't know how much it costs to make a game. What, like 50, 60, 70, 80, 100? I don't know. Million for just fair games. So it's not a bad strategy if that is their strategy. And hopefully they do get at least one of, because they've got so many live service games in the pipeline. Hopefully they get at least one of those off the ground and get like a comprehensive fan base and everything, so that they know the formula going forward, and then maybe they can come back and for Last of Us and figure something out for that. Bill in the chat says, I knew it, it's all the Series S's fault. You could blame all of this on Xbox Series S. You could.
Yeah.
You could, Bill. I mean,
that's what the hackers use to get the
they hacked Sony with the Series S. Oh my god, Stank Mall, what's up, dude? Yeah, this it's a wild situation, but yeah, as for myself, I mean, I don't really know what the plan is for Sony going forward. I would imagine, and it's not that I would imagine, what I would hope is kind of along the lines of what Ham was saying, and although what I'm kind of thinking is it doesn't have to be a live service or a specific kind of game, but like Sony makes these really quality games. The problem is that Sony makes these really quality games that cost hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, and I just don't think that's not sustainable for most people. Like, even if Microsoft was to just go all out and every game now costs hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, at a certain point that's just not sustainable. So it's like you got to have some sort of variety in there to make it so, like, hey, this game costs 250 million, but this game costs 50 million. It's like
Right.
you got to have some sort of variety in there so that you're not breaking the bank every single time you go to make a game. And it also, I feel like it drives fan appreciation of your console even more, because it's like I think it was K Mega who brought it up on the show yesterday. It's like the thing that we loved about our favorite consoles was the fact that it had a huge variety of games. It's like you had
Oh yeah.
you had indie games, you had AAA games, you had everything in between that, and it covered a wide gamut of genres and everything that you could just enjoy, as opposed to just here's one genre of the highest budget possible. So it's like that gets fan favor back on your side, and it also costs you less money. And I kind of hope that's where Sony goes going forward. I mean, I still want The Last of Us. I still want stuff like Uncharted and everything, but like I also want, like, I don't know how much it would cost to do a Resistance remake or just bring back Resistance in some way, shape, or form, but I'm sure it can't cost as much as it costs to make Spider-Man 2. Would they come? That was in the official documents, wasn't it? It was like 350 million to make Spider-Man
It
2.
was a crazy number.
Yeah, so it's like,
It was in the hundreds of millions, and it's just like,
yeah,
yo,
yeah, dude, and it's like, dude, those
recouping that
games,
money ain't fun.
no way. And I had a thought yesterday. I think I put it in the group chat where it's like, I think Insomniac might be in the worst spot, not because of like they're clearly the with the most output. They're clearly have the most output of any Sony studio, and it's quality output. It's just over the next 10 years, if all they're working on is Marvel games, dude, that's hundreds and hundreds
It's
of
like a lot
millions
of
of
pressure.
that's a lot of pressure, and that's hundreds of millions of dollars, billions of dollars by the time it's over, worth of games. All that pressure, it's like, dude, you got to hit a certain sales target to make not only Sony happy but Marvel happy. And it's like, dude, that's just not that can't be a fun position. I mean, sure, you're having fun making the game and everything, but dude, that can't be a fun position, all that pressure. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but it just seems like you're really banking on Insomniac. And I believe in Insomniac. They're not gonna. I don't think they'll mess that up. But it's like, god damn, that's can't be easy. That can't be easy. Stankmo in the chat says, just make some good games. Period.
Yep.
Gaming has been losing me this year, and that I agree with that 100%. Like, all you need is good games. Doesn't matter the size, scale, whatever. All you need is good games. That is what people are here for, is to play good games.
Good
100%.
new. And my whole thing is just like, we're just begging, Sony to give us some new games, really.
Yes,
Just
of
some new
course.
games, and they don't have to be, like you said, they don't have to be crazy budget games. They don't have to be $250 million,
Yeah.
to be able to make. Give me, like you said earlier, give me like a $50 million game or something like that. Give me something on the level of like a Hi-Fi Rush or a Grounded, right? A passion project just by a few people out, like outside of Sony, that wanted to make a fun, not crazy long game, you know. Um, I mean, we're just wanting some sort of variety that, you know, respects our time as well, and and it's fun to play. And most of all, I think they should really invest in not just making a cheaper game, but a cheaper game that's multiplayer, bro. Like it doesn't have to be a live service game to make money. If you make a pretty fun game where I can play with a Stankman, I can play with you, man, I can play with Loke or whatever, and it's just goofy, right?
Yeah.
I'd love to do it. I
100%.
like I'd love to play those type of games and just see what they're all about. Something on like the level or money amount spent for something like Kana, right?
I was just thinking about Kane, and not in the multiplayer aspect, but in the terms of the budget. But go on.
Yeah. Just stuff like that would make people happy and just remind people, you know what, this is fine. Go on ahead and cook those big games if you wish, but you're also supplying me something small just to kind of eat up that doesn't have to be a crazy budget or, you know, Marvel IP. Just something new and dope. Like why not bust out a multiplayer Astrobot game? Like, what are we doing?
Swan would go nuts for that. Hell yeah.
That'd be so fun to do that. Like even if they wanted to make a live service out of something like that, like where it's just like your different astrobots going versus each other in this crazy world where you're taking advantage of, or hell, like turn half of the stuff that you see in like the current astrobot game into like a PvP where you got to climb the wall before the other person, or you know, no, just little fun games, like whatever.
You could make a multiplayer game show out of that, or something like even Little Big Planet. Like I know Media Molecule, I think is the studio that made that. I'm pretty sure they're not a studio anymore, but like Astrobot's perfect. You could make a legit multiplayer game show out of it. It's something to think about. Like I again, granted, like the developers know more about developing games than I do, but it's just like I know what things I would definitely play. Like I'm not the biggest Astrobot fan, but if you brought like an Astrobot game, had multiplayer up to like 16 people, you get a huge lobby of people playing that together. That would be a fun time. I would absolutely play that. So it's I don't know. Maybe they got something like that in the works, but we have the thing is we have to wait and see, and that's the problem with Sony. It's just like it's not that waiting for a game sucks, but it's whatever. It's the process, but it's like God, dude, we legit don't know anything, and that's kind of the problem. That's like where everything stems from with Sony. It's like this whole thing here is frustrating, but it's multiplied by the fact that we don't know anything about what Sony is doing within the next 12 months. Like, I mean, I guess now we know all of Insomniac, which is unfortunate, but it's like, you got more studios than Insomniac, dude. You got
You got a lot more.
Exactly. You got a lot more studios than Insomniac. Like, what's coming in 2024? We got Helldivers, and in fact, I think that's coming this year, is it not, to end the year?
Yeah, no, not to end the year. It's coming, I believe, early next year.
Oh, okay. Okay, so yeah, that is coming next year. That looks pretty cool. But it's like, what's I don't know. Trying to pick a studio. Trying to pick a studio besides the big
Sony
three.
Santa Monica, Gorilla, Sucker Punch, Fire
Sucker
Sprite,
Punch.
Bend, Blue
That's a
Point,
studio.
XDev, Naughty Dog,
That's a studio I'm
Sobe.
super interested in is Bend, because there was also a report that Bend and Naughty Dog had a game they were working on together that got canceled, and that was last week. I think that was right before the whole thing of Last of Us Online getting canned was reported. But it's like, what is Ben working on? Because I would love it to be Days Gone 2, but we know it's not Days Gone 2 because Sony said outright a few years ago, you're not getting a Days Gone 2. So it's like, what are they are they working on something new? They're talking about an espionage IP that isn't Siphon Filter. It's like, okay, well, I mean, I'm interested in what that is, but can we see it? What's the name of it at least? Can we get a logo? What's the music of it sound like? Anything. Give us anything at all. And it's just that's the problem with Sony right now is they're not giving us anything. And it just kind of leaves us to speculate, and speculating about nothing is not fun. Nikita Percy says bring SOCOM back. It has the biggest live service potential besides Killzone itself. I'm 100% with that. I would love to. SOCOM could be super successful. Especially, they could do like the inverse of what Call of Duty does. How Call of Duty is the first person shooter. SOCOM's a third person shooter. What they could do is make it a third person shooter, but have a mode like Call of Duty that's for Call of Duty. It's third person, but in SOCOM, make it first person. Like a first person SOCOM would be pretty awesome, especially because SOCOM's way more tactical than Call of Duty. Call of Duty is just run and gun. Like there's actual legit hardcore teamwork that happens in SOCOM, and that would be awesome. But it's just one of those things. And here's the thing, Nikita, maybe they're working on that. We just don't fucking know. Like that's again, it all comes back down to that. We just don't know, and that's kind of the problem with Sony here. But to get back to this whole Sony leak, I mean, let's see here. Where was it at? Okay. The day and date threat. And I mentioned this a little bit at the end of what I was talking about earlier. How they're worried also about how Microsoft will be putting Activision Blizzard games on Game Pass day and date. This is a dumb question, but do you think there's anything, I feel like it's obvious, but do you think there's anything that Sony can do to combat this fear they have of, oh no, Call of Duty is going into Game Pass day and date?
Is there anything to combat it?
Yeah.
Not right away.
Okay.
I mean, no. I mean, come on, man. Like, this is literally, it's like the biggest game that comes out like damn near every year. And you're not just going to come out of the gate. Like, I mean, that's like me wanting to box and then being like, I need to fight Mike Tyson. Like, it's like I don't need to do that. I need to fight my way up to people of that caliber. I don't need to start off with the worst person ever, so then I pretty much lose my career right after I started. You know what I mean? So I mean, it's really just gonna be a lot of strategizing, and I mean they still have like the marketing rights for that for a little bit. So really, yeah. In my opinion, I say lean on that. Lean on that stuff and work on something else in the background. As in who next should you team up with and maybe give great ideas to. So maybe talk to an EA about the Battlefield and talk to other big companies that are working on other stuff, because although Call of Duty is big and bad and, very, very recognizable, there's still plenty of other things that people would like to see raised up and shown off and give more credit and love to. So I don't think that they have to answer the way that a lot of us think they do. I mean, they're already Sony's always been, since their inception, a third-party console. It's only the fanboys and stuff like that that make you feel like they have to have everything first party. So, okay. Use your resources to your benefit is the only thing I'd have to really tell Sony to do. And like, it may not be as shock and awe and very interesting as others, but do what does best for you and stop trying to appease just based on based on what the crowd or what some other people think is best for you. You know, just stick to your guns. You know, if you believe this is best for your company, then do it. I understand, like, some of the documents said what they did is outdated. What they've been doing is outdated and whatnot, but you're clearly making some sort of shift with, you know, the leaving of Jim Ryan, Connie Booth, and many others within the actual, you know, business themselves. They're making some interesting moves over there, but like, don't forget your heritage and what you came up by doing. And a lot of that come up was third party and just making the correct deals. It doesn't sound exciting, but it's what worked. And I don't see why you quickly stray away from something like that.
All right. I mean, definitely. I was thinking, like, the way to combat specifically. I mean, again, you can't really combat it one for one, but like,
no,
they're talking about, they're talking about, like, okay, all the Activision games go into Game Pass day one. It's like, okay, well, what can we do on our side to combat that? And I feel like the answer is kind of obvious. Put your games into your service on day one. It's like, obviously, like, they have this thing of, like, they don't want to do that. And, you know, maybe it's going to be a little bit rough financially for a minute, but it's like, that also goes back to what we just talked about. It's like, not every game needs to be like $500 million. It's not necessary. Like, make games, just make regular games every now and then that have like this very average budget. Put them into your service day one. Like, you got the fan base. PlayStation has the fan base. Like, even the people who are on PlayStation just to play Fortnite, just to play Call of Duty, like, even those people, if they're signed up for their service and they're like, oh, these games launch into the service day one, I don't gotta buy them. That's very positive attention for you. That'll that'll shoot your numbers for PS Plus up like 100% without question. And it's like, you might have to bite the bullet on some costs for a year, maybe 2 years, but it's like, in the long run, I feel like that's the obvious answer to combat, oh, Activision games are going to be on Game Pass day one. It's like, you got the answer. You guys just don't want to do it. You really don't want to do it. And it's like, at a certain point, you kind of need to. Oh, Blind, what's up? Appreciate you for stopping by, buddy. Nikita Percy says, it should be a solid balance with third party and first, not most third party and money hat series from said platforms when you don't own said IPs. And I agree with that. And I agree with that whether we're talking about Sony or anybody. I don't like the trend of money hatting third party stuff. And for Sony, it's stuff like, you know, Final Fantasy and shit. And I really don't care about Final Fantasy, but I still don't like the idea that they're just like, hey, this is ours now, even though we don't own it. It's just silly to me.
In my opinion, it's like, hey, if it worked and you can do it, just do it. I know you don't like it, Matt, but it's just, to me, if that's what works for you, and that's what kind of, like, you know, holds certain, you know, people at bay. Yeah, I might not like it, but that might be the reason I buy PlayStation.
That's fair enough. And
you know what I'm saying? So it's not Sony's, or I mean, it's not. Yeah, it's not Sony's fault if Microsoft isn't there first to take care of it, or if, you know, they happen to be the market leader and, you know, Xbox can't get this game because, you know, they're too late to the party, or they didn't, you know, court that studio early enough. You know, first come, first serve. It just is what it is. It seems dirty to some people, but I feel like if the shoe was on the other foot to a lot of these people, that they'd be clamoring for Microsoft and ha,
Sure.
Sony, you don't have this. So it's just like, do what's best for you, and fuck them.
Sure.
People don't like it. People don't like it. Deal with it. But I know that. You know what? I got to play Kana. No problem. Oh shit! I got to fix the camera. I got to play Kana. I'll fix it here in a second.
Yeah.
I got to play Kana. No problem. On PlayStation, I got to play. Some of these Final Fantasy games. Give them a try. I'm not a huge fan of Final Fantasy, but I got to give it a try. Forspoken, stuff like that. Like.
Yeah.
When these times are quiet over at PlayStation, those are some of the games that keep me turning on my console. And if they need more time to work on their first party content, then who am I to say that, oh, you shouldn't have this?
Yeah. And in that regard, it's honestly at that point, it's honestly just business. And there's a lot of things about business I don't like, but I mean, PlayStation's been doing it for, most of the PS4 generation, good part of the PS3 generation. They got some timed exclusives as well, even on the PS2. But it's like, yeah, like you said, I might not like it, but dude, if that's what you're doing and that's working for you, I mean, it's insane to just be like, hey, we're going to stop it because people don't like it. And I get that. I totally get that. That's just, again, it's just business. It's just the whole business aspect of this thing. Nikita Percy says, even with that logic, you shouldn't money hat said series aggressively and have deals to keep off of Xbox in particular. It's, well, I see, and the thing is, Nikita, I agree with you, but at the same time, it's like we just said, it's all business, and it stinks that has to be business, but it's like at the same time,
there's a reason why Taco Bell has Baja Blast and nobody else does.
Yeah, and like I'm saying, it's shit, but at the same time, that is what it is. And if that's their business, then this is why Microsoft goes out and gets ABK. This is why Microsoft goes out and gets Bethesda, because it's like, I mean, especially Bethesda, and I guess to a certain extent, especially ABK, because with Bethesda, PlayStation, you heard those rumblings of like, oh, Starfield might be exclusive to PS5, and Xbox heard that, and they're just like, fuck that. They're just like, forget that shit, and they went out there and they bought Bethesda, and now Starfield is not only not exclusive to PS5, it ain't on PS5. And then you hear about like, oh, or not hear about, you see the deal that they had with Call of Duty all these years, where it's just like, dude, they've been marketing Call of Duty to the point where the average person might just think Call of Duty is exclusive to PlayStation. And at a certain point, Xbox is like, okay, we got to do something about this. And then just so happens Activision's looking to sell, and they're just like, hell yeah, we'll buy you. It's like, that's what it is. And that's really the only way that you can combat the kind of thing that PlayStation's doing. Because if that,
well, look,
what's up?
I was just gonna say, go back to the PS2 era, right?
Yeah.
Where GameCube had, was it like Super Smash Brothers? That was a big hit. They had, their Zelda. Xbox had some great games. They had their what was I gonna say? No, not Fable, because Fable. The original Fable was on the original Xbox, right?
Yeah, 2004.
Right. I keep getting that mixed up, but yeah. So Fable. They had Halo and whatnot. What did PlayStation do? They had a third-party game that freaking demolished all of those with Grand Theft Auto.
Oh, yeah.
Think about that for a second.
Yep.
That type of stuff is still relevant to today. Maybe not with Grand Theft Auto in particular, but now it's Final Fantasy.
Yep.
Right? to where it's like, oh, well, Xbox is either not getting it or they're getting it so late that it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because Grand Theft Auto eventually came to Xbox. But at that point, it didn't matter.
Yeah, it did.
It is way too late in the game. So I totally don't. As I said before, it may not be fan favorite or, you know, in particularly like Nikita Percy's favorite thing, right?
Yeah.
But it worked.
It did.
And it pushed for them to have a comfortable lead to go into the next generation. And I think that's what Sony's exactly always completely dominating, but times it's just maintaining. Like, look at the PS3 generation. It was a fight to maintain, and then once they got to that maintain area, they could fly. Yeah. But at the beginning of the generation, they couldn't. They had to work back to get to where they were maintaining a good, you know, a good solid line of games coming out and stuff like that. So I don't really want to knock the hustle too much. I don't have to love it. I don't have to like it, but if they're getting it done, let them get it done, and just hope that the first party can kind of start to catch some wind and get moving. And as we said before, make some games that aren't gonna break your bank, because it's silly, right? I feel like PlayStation right now, the way that they're kind of moving or the way that they're looking for me is like somebody that got paid yesterday but is broke today. Like, it's just like, why are you, as soon as you get paid, your money's gone already, you know, like bills. You got you got to pay this person. You got to make sure this person gets their allowance. You got to make sure you paid for that subscription service. Yada yada yada. And as soon as you got your paycheck into your account, it's already signed over to somebody else.
Yeah.
I think Sony just needs to fall back and do what they do, and do. And try to get more for less. That's the best way I can put it. Try to get more for less.
Yeah. Nikita Percy, but you don't want to rely on third party. It might be to their detriment. That's just business when you're almost out of business. Call of Duty is a prime example. It's like, and yeah, I agree. Like, you don't want to, ideally, you don't want to have to rely on third party. But in Sony right now, I mean, unless they come out with like some showcase sometime soon where they go comprehensively in depth on what's coming up and what they're confident about and everything, unless that happens, it seems like they're in a position where they have to rely on third party right now. Like, because next year you think of you think of what's next year for Sony. It's Final Fantasy Rebirth, the big ones. It's Final Fantasy Rebirth, and then you also got Rise of the Ronin. Then you got Stellar Blade at some point in there.
Should be, yeah.
So it's like it sucks, but they're in the position where it's like, dude, that's kind of what they got to rely on right now. That's kind of what they got. It's like, it's no disrespect to those games. Those games are, I mean, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I don't care about it, but it's gonna do amazing. It's just the way it goes with Final Fantasy, especially the remake. Rise of the Ronin looks dope. I'll probably end up getting that eventually. Problem is that comes out the same day as Dragon's Dogma 2, which is fucking insane, honestly. And then also Stellar Blade. It's like, those games are gonna do great.
Well, that Fire Sprite game, right? Isn't that supposed to come out in 2024?
Is that
Concord?
Concord? Is Concord supposed to come out in 2024? I don't know. I'm gonna look that up real quick.
I thought it was.
I'm gonna look that up really quick because I'm interested in that. Because I know the only reason I'm interested in that is not because of the trailer, because the trailer was to shit. But I'm interested in the fact
that the burger.
Yeah, it's just a jiggling burger. But I'm interested in the fact that it's a first-person shooter multiplayer game from Sony Studios. Concord game PS5 release date is 2024. So yeah, 2024. And I also thought Fair Games was 2020. I could be incorrect on that. Uh, but yeah, like that's the stuff they got coming out next year. And it's not like this big banger year for PlayStation. So, it is what it is. Rob Don says that's what it said in the trailer. Yeah, yeah. 2024. I must have completely forgot about that. But yeah, I'm interested to see that. I'm sure they got some. I'm sure they have to have something up their sleeve for 2024. But it's just at this point we don't know. So like it just looks like they're relying entirely on third party. That's just where they're at right now.
I don't think that's terrible because we're all saying, oh, we don't like it or whatnot, but keep in mind before these recent years, Xbox, what were they relying on? Third party. They relied on third party for a fat portion of the Xbox One generation.
Yeah, especially when
there was a time where all I bought was third party games on my Xbox because they didn't have anything coming out first party.
Yeah, especially once the One X came out, because it was like that was their whole marketing was it was like the best place to play everything. As opposed, like, because yeah, you could play God of War on your PS4, but you could play Red Dead 2 on your Xbox One X at 4K. It's like
right.
that was their selling point last year. Was like, dude, we can make the third party games the best that they can possibly be. And it shit worked because that's why I got a 1X. That is the sole reason I got a 1X was when I saw. Actually, I'm not gonna lie to you. It was when I saw PUBG running at a competent frame rate. When I say competent frame rate, I mean a less terrible 30 FPS. Because I don't know if you remember when that game came out, Ham. I don't know if you've even played that game, but when that game came out early access,
I played it and I hated it.
Dude, that game came out early access on Xbox One, and I had the VCR Xbox One. I booted that up. That shit was running at maybe 12 FPS consistently. And then I saw like Digital Foundry talk about the Xbox One X, and they were talking about PUBG or something, and they're like, "Oh, it runs 30 FPS," and I'm like, "Whoa, holy shit!" And that was one of the things that led me to get an Xbox One X was 30 FPS PUBG. I'm a piece of shit. But what can you do? As for the rest of this, I mean, it's kind of hard to go. Oh my god, holy hell! There's a good amount here. Okay, yeah, continuing. It says Activision Blizzard provides incredible strategic value across live service games, scale and mobile, and PC storefront, which is Battle.net. Microsoft can supply multi-game subscriptions. 50. Okay, not going to go into all those numbers there, but basically, again, Sony's worries is this gives Microsoft access to tremendously successful live service games. Obviously, Call of Duty being the huge one, but then you got stuff like Diablo, Overwatch to a lesser extent because Overwatch is kind of on a downswing a little bit. They also got mobile now with King, and also the PC storefront, which is not to be overlooked because Microsoft has PC as a huge part of their gaming business, and a lot of PC players don't like that Microsoft store. So if they can integrate somehow with Battle.net, that is going to be massive. And this is all stuff that Sony, again, it just seems to be concerned about. And it's all stuff that it's like, you might have these concerns, but you're not going to be able to address these concerns overnight. Like there's a lot of stuff Sony needs to do. And I think up there on the list is prioritizing PC a little bit more. And also making a PC launcher. And bringing trophies to PC. Nikita Percy says, "I feel doom and gloom when I talk about
absolutely
I feel doom and gloom when I talk about the third party thing. Microsoft wasn't as aggressive with third party during the Xbox One generation, and got some flack from it. Cough, Rise of the Tomb Raider. It's like I agree with that. Microsoft kind of sat back on third parties and last generation or third party deals in last generation." And then when they made one, when they made one a big splash with Rise of the Tomb Raider, everybody was like, "We fucking hate you. We really hate you, Microsoft." They got so much shit for that, and I mean, and maybe that's a reason. Maybe that's a reason they just don't want to deal with it. Maybe that's a reason Microsoft looks at what Sony's doing and they're like, okay, instead of just fighting them with our third party exclusives, what we'll do is we'll just buy the party. We'll just buy the party, and so it's not even a question anymore. Which again, you know, when you
Which
got
works for Microsoft.
exactly when you got that kind of money, that shit just kind of works for you. There's nothing wrong with that. That's just kind of the way it goes. But yeah, back to this whole Sony issue with live service, mobile, and PC. What are your what are your thoughts on? Because obviously they're in the process of the whole live service thing. They've got multiple live service games in the works. They're going to see what sticks, see what they can put resources into, see what really builds a player base. But as for the PC side of things, I believe we've even talked about it before. Like, what are your thoughts on a PlayStation specific launcher? Like right now, you go to Steam to play PlayStation games. Like, would you like to be able to just boot up your PC, go to a PlayStation launcher, you have your PlayStation games, you've got trophies in there, and you can play like you're on PlayStation at your PC?
I'll tell you right now, I'm not a huge fan of Steam. I like getting Steam games when I feel like I can't get them anywhere else. But yeah, I don't want to play a PlayStation 5 game on Steam. I don't. Just like I don't want to play an Xbox game on Steam. I want those achievement dash trophies from the platform that made the game. So I 100% want Sony to have their own launcher on PC and whatnot. And that's one thing I heavily disagree with Sony on, is not wanting to jump into another platform and have your games available on there. Look, dude, it's 2023, almost 2024. Don't tell somebody how to play their games.
Yeah.
Don't tell somebody how to play their games. It's too late for that. Like, this is not 2002 or 2006. I'm not pigeonholed into only being able to enjoy games on over here. It'd be different if, you never seen, any of these third-party games on PC, but we've been seeing games from like Remedy and stuff like that on PC for 20 years now.
Yeah.
Right? So it's just like, if they're willing to do that kind of stuff there, you need to follow where people want to put their money. Stop forcing people to, buy our console to play. Like, no. If somebody spent a couple grand on their PC, they they want to have your launcher and whatnot, you should give them that opportunity to do.
100%.
You really should. To me, there's just no excuse anymore. Nintendo's barely getting away with it, in my opinion, with their excuses. People are already, figuring out ways to put it on their Steam Deck.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So unless you want to continue to fight and deal with people, hijacking your game on the high seas and stuff like that, just go ahead. And this is one of those things where I just feel like you have to conform. You just have to conform. You have to give people what they want. And 100%. And I think this is an easy way and kind of a common ground to where you could take advantage. And honestly, I think it would help you tie your fans closer together. Like I don't know. I think You know, like it's like whenever we're playing games with Mike, you know, right? He's always on his PC.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to be forced to be playing on his Xbox because he would rather play on his PC. And I think Sony in that sense needs to kind of, you know, wake up and smell the coffee. People want to play on PC. They want to play their games, but they don't want to wait a year to do it. They don't want to wait 2 years to do it. You're seeing what's happening to some of the sales of their first party games because, in my opinion, they're just making it take too long to arrive over on the other on PC.
Yeah.
You're kind of, you know, you're kind of putting glue under the soles of your feet and trying to run, and it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. I also think just because I mean, look, PlayStation's constantly like the big talking point for PlayStation. Like, dude, as bad as we think they're doing, as much as we want to criticize them, everybody goes like, "Oh, well, look at their console sales." It's like, well, yeah, look at their console sales, but revenue's down. If revenue's down and you're selling as many consoles as you're selling, maybe PC isn't such a bad option. Maybe you should be investing more in PC because like you can sell like they might end this generation if we end the generation what in 2027, 2028. If that's the case, they might end this generation with like 130 million something consoles sold. It's
Sure.
like if that and if you went end the generation with 130 million consoles sold and you're not profiting, then maybe you might want to look into PC. Maybe you might want to look into start porting those games over to PC because I even have a. Oh, I just had the article here. Where's it at? Okay, man, I'll find it. I'll find it while I'm talking. But it was an article from WCCF Tech for PlayStation PC games, and here we go. Inexpensive PlayStation PC ports only require an email approval to get funded. Spider-Man 2, Wolverine already have PC builds. Now, this was given how okay, here it is. Given how easy it would be to get funding for PlayStation PC ports if they don't cost over 30 million, and that is in reference to Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart port, which cost far less than $30 million. So if you're building a PC or if you're building a game for PlayStation, then you want to port it to PC and it's costing you less than $30 million, it might be worth eating that $30 million for every game you put out. Because obviously it's not working just having that locked to your console. Like it's not sustainable really anymore. At one point it was, but it's just not anymore. So I mean, I think you at a certain point, even in this article, like they mentioned Wolverine already having a playable PC version. Like, I mean, maybe Wolverine starts day and date on PC. In fact, what do you think about that? Do you think there's a possibility that Wolverine starts day and date on PC for PlayStation? Oh, I think you're muted, bud.
I was just saying, I really don't know. I 100% think they should. Will they? 2026. Let's say 3 years from now. I'd say so. I'd say yeah.
Yeah, I agree with
Um,
you.
I I'd actually say yeah, just because like they need to like they need to recover this money as fast as possible, and I just don't know if how well they'll be able to continue with bundles that late into the generation with those games. So maybe you put it on PC to get those numbers up quicker. And I think if you definitely and see, I think this is kind of the problem with going to PC for PlayStation is is like the same thing you look at Baldur's Gate, right? Remember, as they dropped on the Xbox, they said, here it is at a fair price. And a lot of people said, that's not a fair price because you look over at PC and it's $10 less. And then people are like, yeah, it's $10 less over there because then people will pirate it if not. And I'm not sure if Sony is comfortable with bringing $10 less to a Wolverine than their premier console. Do you see what I'm saying?
I do.
So it's just kind of like, is PlayStation at that point where they feel the need to bite that bullet? Because I don't know. Because I remember when they were talking about Final Fantasy coming out for PC at $70, and people were like, fuck that. Not doing that. I'll show them, right?
Yeah.
So like, I don't know how confident PlayStation is to try to do that and have to deal with some sort of, high seas situation where people are, pirating their games and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But also, I just don't know, man. I think they should, but I just don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you. I think that should. I mean, that'd be the perfect time with a game that big. That'd be the perfect time to start your whole day and date on PC campaign. Nikita Percy says it's too late. Unfortunately, they're not evolving quickly enough, and that's the key. Quick enough, and I would agree with that. They failed to adapt quick enough because right now, like. Again, we mentioned the whole console sales, and people like to latch onto that. And yeah, they're crushing it in console sales. They're dominating console sales. But at the same time, it seems like that's not enough. It seems like that's just not enough in 2023. We're headed into 2024 and beyond. It's just not going to be enough. So yeah, they very quickly need to adapt. And I feel like what better way to get started the whole PC day and date on PC campaign than with fucking Wolverine. I mean, or even forget Wolverine. What about Venom in 2025? I mean, you launch Venom in 2025 with Spider-Man 2 alongside it, and then Wolverine in 2026 on PC. You're making a good amount of money. You're making a good
flat out. Like, we're talking about what game and this and that, and I think it's literally like a platform issue. Like, I think they need to really get on. Like, they need to push on the gas when it comes to PC and mobile. They got to do that right now, in my opinion, because that's where a lot of people are kind of, already at. A lot of people are already on PC. A lot of people are already on mobile. You see Microsoft's trying to move into mobile. Like, yo, you gotta make launchers. You gotta make these apps. Get them out there and start to show off what you have and make your subscription service more, tasty, I guess. Yeah. Make it more tasty because love it or hate it. And I know a lot of people are, especially over on the Sony side and also on like in the Nintendo side as well, are just like super against subscription services. But the fact of the matter is, as much as you're mad about subscription services, when you turn on your TV, you go straight to Netflix. Cut the cap.
Yeah.
So it just is what it is. It's the world that we're living in now. As I like to say, get right or get left.
Yeah. 100%. And Rob the Don says, no, Sony needs to hit another low. It's like, I don't know what low Sony hits after this. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think they need to hit another low. I think they need to.
I've been joking about Sony all year. I'm starting to move to the side where I want Sony to succeed.
Same.
Because Because in my eyes, Microsoft's already trending in that direction. Nintendo's fine. All I need to do is like I bought a PS5. I'm damn sure not gonna say, all right, you know what, you need to sit in the corner for another 2 years and have nothing. And I'm gonna be much more happier having bought your console that you're giving me nothing for. I'm happy with that. Like, no. I wanted them to stumble a little bit just to kind of have a mirror moment where you look in the mirror and you're like, oh fuck, like I need to fix my shit. I wanted that. And I feel like I'm getting that. I feel like 2023 was that.
Yes.
Now it's time to fucking put your boots on. Put your put the gloves on, put the mask on, and get to work. Yeah. Like I've seen you stumble enough now. I feel like you get the point. Hopefully you get the point.
Yes, hopefully.
Now let's go after. Now let's go out here and get it. Let me see that end of PS3 energy.
Right? That would be amazing if they could end the PS5 generation the way they ended the PS3 generation. I mean, shit. Because if they do that, then maybe for the PS6, you're looking at another PS4 generation. Which is like, I mean, that doesn't sound too bad. That sounds pretty damn awesome. And I mean, I'm right there with you, man. I hope at a point it was fun. It was funny to see. It was funny, but was also like kind of enlightening probably for Sony to be in the position that they were in, where it was like, or that they are in right now, where it's like, okay, we need to turn this shit around. Like, and getting to that point, I mean, it can't be fun for them, but they're at that point now, and hopefully they can do it because, I mean, as Nikita Percy said in the chat just now, same, competition is good, and that's what it's all about, is competition. And Microsoft's been making moves this generation. If Microsoft doesn't have competition next generation, that's not gonna be good. That's not gonna be good for anybody. For us on the Xbox platform, or for PlayStation players on the PlayStation platform, for Nintendo players on the Nintendo like, it's not gonna be good for anybody. So hopefully this is that moment for PlayStation where they can go, okay, let's get our shit straight. We'll figure this out. And they can end the generation on a strong note, and everybody can be happy wherever they're playing. I'm got my fingers crossed that's what happens, because I don't want Sony out here looking weak the same way I don't want Xbox out here looking weak. I didn't like that. I mean, little bit of a tangent on that. I didn't like when Microsoft was in the whole process of acquiring ABK, and they were doing all that shit where they were just like, yeah, but we don't know how to make games. They're doing that shit like, we're Xbox, we can't do anything. We don't know how to do anything. You should just let us have ABK because we don't know how to do anything. I mean, ABK could really help us out. And it's like, dude, I get why you did that. I get it, but I didn't like that. I didn't like that stuff. Rob the Don says, they don't get the point. The only way I would believe that is if they say PC day and day on all games going forward. And that's the thing. I think we'll get to that point where it's all games. Like, we're talking about Wolverine, we're talking about Venom. I'm talking about all games though. I feel like we're going to get to that point where it's all of the games. Like, they already said the live service games are going to be, I mean, we all kind of assume the way they forget how they worded it, but we all kind of assume the live service games are going to be day and date. But I'm talking about the single player, like Last of Us Part 3 type shit. I feel like those are going to be day and date. And if they're not, then shit, I don't know what you're going to do. But those
I feel like they need to do day and date for PC, and then they need to put stuff in their subscription service and just tell people, like if they don't want to do day and date, that's fine. But say, like after the first quarter or second quarter, it'll go.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe it's a quarter of the year to half of the year, and then it'll go. But like, in my opinion, just having that window, I mean, I know myself when, like, depending on the game, I'll wait, or I'll just be like, man, I just can't. I
Mhm.
just can't wait. And see, I think this would help out Sony more is if they, instead of doing sales, just put it in their service, right? And keep the price it is. Like, so if it's like a $70 game, maybe don't go any lower than 60, but then say, hey, if you feel like you need to play, just go to our subscription.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, Ubisoft is doing day and date in their subscription. They got me.
That's true. That's true. I mean, shit. Like, I was even thinking about getting movies, and I still might, honestly, for next year. We'll see what Ubisoft announces. But it's like people went from mocking that whole Ubisoft thing, especially on Xbox, where they were like, "Yo, it's $18 a month." It's like now $18 a month with all the games that they got coming out. That's not a bad deal. It's not a bad deal to
Still not
get
a
in.
great deal.
It's not a great deal, but it's not a bad deal to get in there for a month, 2 months, however long, play what you want to play, and hop out. Like
Right.
it's not bad. So like, yeah, man. I mean, it makes your subscription service attractive, whether you want to do it day and date, or get your sales for 2-3 months or whatever, and then drop it in there. Like that makes sure, like having all of PlayStation games in your subscription service at one time, the subscription service super attractive.
And
To
in
not
my opinion, they don't have any roadmap for their subscription service right now. So people get it, but they don't know what to expect. And to me, that's like an open wound to me.
Yeah,
To where at Microsoft, it's like I understand I'm getting this day and day. Ubisoft, I understand I'm getting this day and day. Even EA, I know I'm getting this 6 months to a year later
or if you
in the
want to do
subscription service.
or if you want to do the main one, you get it day and date. If you do like the high tier one on EA.
Right. So
Yeah.
maybe there needs to be maybe they really need to make that a PlayStation premium tier
Yeah.
actually premium.
I'd be down. I would
Because right
100%
now
sign
it's
up.
not premium. Right now it feels like essential is essential, and then there's extra, and then there's extra 2.0. That's what it feels like. Extra 2.0. It doesn't feel like premium.
Yeah. It's I'd be there because I'm at the point where I'm like, I might just let my PlayStation Plus lapse. Like I think I got until March. I mean, unless something changes, I'm not re-upping that. But dude, if you start dropping stuff into premium, like your first party things into premium, I sign up for premium instantly. It's not even a question. Not even a question. It's like that. Like the amount of people who are like me in that scenario, who will definitely instantly sign up for premium, you're gonna get a lot of money off of subscriptions. A lot of money off of just a
Yeah,
huge
Helldivers 2
influx.
should be in premium day one.
Yes.
Forspoken should have been in premium already. This new Final Fantasy game that's coming out, if they said, hey, 30 days after the release, this will be in premium,
Yeah.
that would be a reason to be like, oh, okay. Maybe I don't want to buy it, but I definitely want to play it.
Yeah.
And a Final Fantasy game, it ain't gonna take you no 10, 20 hours to finish it. You're gonna be in that game for a minute.
Yep.
So
Uh,
I don't see why.
the Kid Percy says drop the Dino Crisis series on Premium. 100%. Like there's so many things. There's so many things that they could do. And we talked about the third party deals. You just mentioned Forspoken, Final Fantasy. Like, dude, they make third party deals. You should be making a part of those deals. Should be, hey, you're going in PS Premium. That should be a part of that deal. Where it's like whatever, how much money you think you will lose out on sales, whatever, we'll cut you a check for that. But you're going in PS Plus Premium. Like, it just, or even a game they have advertising with. Honestly, like I'm surprised. I mean, granted, it's not going to happen now, but I'm surprised for all the years they had marketing with Call of Duty, they never did anything like that. Like it's shocking to me they never did that. For like, I think maybe they dropped Cold War into PlayStation, like a monthly game for PlayStation Plus, sometime earlier this year. But I'd never seen that. Like that was the one time I saw it. Of all the years they had marketing with Call of Duty, they just never did that shit. So it's like y'all got to start exploring some options. Y'all got to start like not even thinking outside the box, but just using some common sense. Like, yo, make some deals. Put this in our service. Cause I'm there day one, 100%. If you guys, even if I gotta wait 30 days, like Ham just said, I'm there. I'm in that service. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what else we can really. Well, hold on a second. What's this elusive perfect game subscription? Premium content expectation of free best in class games creates unsustainable model. Also, they're talking directly about like again, they love to do this, that it's unsustainable. An expectation of free, they call it free, best in class games creates an unsustainable model. Again, it's not free. This is the whole argument against that. It's not free. It's a monthly fee every month that millions, tens and tens and tens of millions of people will be paying you every single month to play those games. It's not free. So yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else you want to say about Sony? Because I mean, they're having a hell of a year, and I don't know what else to say at this point.
No, I don't really think there's a whole lot more that needs to be said about it. I mean, just do better.
Yep, 100%. Do better.
Do
Sony.
better and get better security.
Oh my God, yeah. Y'all need to fix the security issue over there. Jesus. Like, I don't know who you got to call for that. Like, get Brinks on the phone or some shit. I don't know. But you got to do something.
Brinks.
Yeah, you guys got to
Get
do
ADT.
something. Right? Dude, ADT and Brinks. I don't even know if they do cybersecurity. I'm pretty sure they don't. But figure it out.
No, they do need some layered security, though.
They really do. Because dude, this is multiple times in 1 year y'all have been breached, and that's not good. But yeah, I'm with him with that. Do better, tighten up security. Hopefully, shit like this doesn't happen again. I will say kudos to Sony for not giving in to the hackers and everything, and not paying them that $2 million, because we talked about it last week. If you paid that $2 million, as bad as it is now, it'd be a whole fucking lot worse. Because you turn around and get hacked again and again and again, and you just be bleeding money at that point. So kudos to Sony for not playing ball with the hackers. But I mean, yeah, I don't think there's anything else to say. That was the topic for today, was this whole Sony and Insomniac leak. I feel like we can head up out of here, unless there's anything else you want to add before we get out of here.
Nah, man, I'm all set. I'm super hungry.
All set. Mr. Joanna Dark, appreciate you for stopping by. But let's get into the outros. I mean, Ham, start us off, bud. Where can they find you? What are you up to? What are you going to be doing for the rest of the year?
I'm still going to be doing my content for the rest of the year for the most part. Obviously going to take off for the specific holidays, like Christmas, New Year's, and whatnot. Probably, I may be on other people's channels, but for the most part, I'll still be doing content on my channel, just not on those specific days. TSWS Gaming is where you'll be able to find me to do my content, but as you can see, I'm here every Wednesday for Matt's channel. I'm on K Mega's channel every Friday for his, but he's done for the rest of the year. We are going to be doing another crossover podcast this. Let me make sure, not this upcoming Monday, because that's Christmas. So
Monday's Christmas. Holy shit!
Yeah, this upcoming Monday's Christmas, but
damn. All right.
But but yeah, later this evening, I'm going to be on KY Bob's channel with Uso Vinny and KY's folks, Mac Brown and all those guys.
Nice.
That should be a good time. Tomorrow for Behind Them Sticks, I have an awesome guest coming up over there. Janess is what she goes by. So come through and check out that episode of Behind Them Sticks tomorrow. I'll have a link to that later on this evening on Twitter, and I'll also have the thumbnail and everything taken care of here on YouTube. But for the most part, that's where you can find me. Thanks for the show, Matt. It was a good time.
It was a good time. Link in the description. Check out Ham's channel. But as for myself, you find me here Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Mondays and Fridays are videos, and then Wednesdays I'm here for the 2-player podcast with Ham Solo at 2 p.m. Eastern, as we're doing right now. And on Twitter, you can check me out at Matt Likes Games, and that is where you can find me. Thank you all for stopping by. I appreciate you on the chat. Nikita Percy, Blind Giant, Mr. Joanna Dark, Rob the Don, everybody for stopping by. It's very much appreciated. We will see you all next week. You have a fucking awesome Christmas, because Monday's Christmas. I didn't even realize that. So have a good Christmas. We'll see you all next week. Peace.